Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, Text number 6. Okay. Thank you. Word for word, call and response. Ya, Vai, Lasat, Shri Tulasi, Vimishra, Krishna Angri, Renu, Abhyatika, Ambu, Netri, Punati, Lokan, Abhayatra, Sa Ishan, Kaha, Tam, Na, Seveta, Marishyamanaha, Yavaila Sach Tri Tulasi Vimishra, Krishnangriren Vabhyadikambu Netri, Punati Lokan Ubhayatra Seshan, Kastam na seveta marishyamanaha. Yavaila Sach Shri Tulasi Vimishra, कृष्णाङ्घ्रिरेन्वभ्यधिकाम्बुनेत्री पुनाति लोकान् उभयत्र शेषान् कस्तां न सेवेतमरिष्यमाणः यावैलसच्ची तुलसी विमिश्रा कृष्णाङ्घ्रिरेन्वा व्यधिकाम्बुनेत्री पुनाति लोकान् उभयत्र शेषान् कस्तां न सेवेतमरिष्यमाणः जी
Yavalachatri tulasi vimishra
यस्य लसच्चे तुलसी विमिश्रा
Krishnangrirenvabhyadikambu renetri
कृष्णाङ्घ्रिरेन्वभ्यधिकाम्बुनेत्री
Punati lokanubhayatra seshan
पुनाति लोकान् उभयत्र शेषान्
Kastam sevedamarishyamanaha
कस्तां न सेवेतमरिष्यमाणः
Yavailasatri tulasi vimishra Krishnangriren vyabhadikambunetri
नेत्री
Punati lokanubhayatra seshan
पुनाति लोकान् उभयत्र शेषान्
Kastang na sevetamarishyamanaha
कस्तां न सेवेतमरिष्यमाणः
Yavailashatri tulasi vimishra
यावैलसच्चे तुलसी विमिश्रा
Krishnangrireva vyadikambunetri
कृष्णाङ्घ्रिरेन्वभ्यधिकाम्बुनेत्री
Punati lokan upayatu sheshan
पुनाति लोकान् उभयत्र शेषान्
Kastam nasifta marishyamanaha
कस्तां न सेवेतमरिष्यमाणः
Yavailasatchritulsivim shra
यावैलसच्चे तुलसी विमिश्रा
Krishna grivenav abhyadikambunetri
कृष्णाङ्घ्रिरेन्वभ्यधिनेत्री
Punati lokan ubhacheta sheshan
पुनाति लोकान् उभयत्र शेषान्
Kashtam na sevatamarishamanaha
कस्तां न सेवेतमरिष्यमाणः
Yavailastri tulasi vimishra
यावैलसच्चे तुलसी विमिश्रा
Krishna griren vabhyati kambunetri
कृष्णाङ्घ्रिरेन्वभ्यधिकाम्बुनेत्री
Punati lokan ubhayatra sheshan
पुनाति लोकान् उभयत्र शेषान्
Kastam na sevatamarishyamanaha
कस्तां न सेवेतमरिष्यमाणः
Yavailasatchri tulasi vimishra
यावैलसच्चे तुलसी विमिश्रा
Krishna griren vabhyadikambunetri Netri
Krishnangriren vabhyati kambunetri
Punati Lokan Ubayatra Seshan
Punati lokan ubayatri seshan
Kastam Nasevitamrishamanaha
Kastam naseve tamarishyamanaha
Yavaila Satstri Tulasi Vimhishra
Yavaila Satchri Tulasi Vimishra
Krishnangiren Vabhyadi Kambunetri
Krishnangirena vyabhidikambunetri
Unati Lokanubhayatra Seshan
Punati lokan ubayatri seshan
Astam Naseveta Marishyamana
Kastam naseve tamarishyamanaha. Okay. Are there any devotees online that would like to chant? Okay. Would you mind turning down the sensitivity on the orange mic? Yeah, that's number 4. Ya, the river which, Vai, always, Lasat, floating with, Shri Tulasi, Tulasi leaves, Vimishra, mixed, Krishna Angri, the lotus feet of the Lord, Shri Krishna, Renu, dust, Abhyatika, auspicious, Ambu, water, Netri, that which is carrying, Punati, sanctifies, Lokan, planets, Ubhayatra, both the upper and lower, or inside and out. Yes, inside and outside. Saishan, along with Lord Shiva. Kaha, who else? Tam, that river. Na, does not. Seveta, worship. Marishyamanaha, one who is to die at any moment. Translation. The river Ganges, by which the king sat to fast, carries the most auspicious water, which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord and tulasi leaves. Therefore, that water sanctifies the 3 worlds inside and outside, and even sanctifies Lord Shiva and other demigods. Consequently, everyone who is destined to die must take shelter of this river. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit, just after receiving the news of his death within 7 days, at once retired from family life and shifted himself to the sacred bank of the Yamuna River. Generally, it is said that the king took shelter on the bank of the Ganges, but according to Srila Jiva Goswami, the king took shelter on the bank of the Yamuna. Srila Jiva Goswami's statement appears to be more accurate because of the geographical situation. Maharaj Parikshit resided in his capital Hastinapura, situated near present Delhi, and the river Yamuna flows down past the city. Naturally, the king would take shelter of the river Yamuna because she was flowing past his palace door. And as far as sanctity is concerned, the river Yamuna is more directly connected with Lord Krishna than the Ganges. The Lord sanctified the river Yamuna from the beginning of his transcendental pastimes in the world. While his father Vasudeva was crossing the Yamuna with the baby Lord Krishna. for a safe place at Gokula on the other bank of the river from Mathura, the Lord fell down in the river, and by the dust of his lotus feet the river at once became sanctified. It is especially mentioned herein that Maharaj Parikshit took shelter of that particular river, which is beautifully flowing, carrying the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna mixed with tulasi leaves. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are always besmeared with the tulasi leaves, and thus as soon as his lotus feet contact the water of the Ganges and the Yamuna, the rivers become at once sanctified. The Lord, however, contacted the river Yamuna more than the Ganges. According to the Varaha Purana, as quoted by Srila Jiva Goswami, there is no difference between the water of the Ganges and the Yamuna. But when the water of the Ganges is sanctified 100 times, it is called the Yamuna. Similarly, it is said in the scriptures that 1,000 names of Vishnu are equal to one name of Rama, and 3 names of Lord Rama are equal to one name of Krishna. Yavaila Satchri Tulasi Vimishra Krishnangri Renva Byadhikam Netri Punatri Lokan Uvayatra Seshan Kastam Naseveta Marishyamanaha. Translation: the river Ganges, by which the king sat to fast, carries the most auspicious water, which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord and tulasi leaves. Therefore, that water sanctifies the 3 worlds inside and outside, and even sanctifies Lord Shiva and other demigods. Consequently, everyone who is destined to die must take shelter of this river.
The river, Hare Krishna. The river, Hare Krishna. The river Ganges and the river Jamuna both come from the same source. It starts off as the Ganga, the Yamuna, or Ganges, and it splits. The river, they go their own path, and then they join together again at Triveni, at Prayag. So you can see the difference. But so they're the same river, same water in a sense, and it's washing the lotus feet of Lord Vamandev when it comes into the universe. Vamandev extended his transcendental lotus foot to the top of the universe and kicked a hole in the layers, the coverings of the universe. Had to go all the way through, because Kailash is on the other side of the outer shell of and her coming, Mother Ganga, she was hesitant to come down to earth because she was afraid of being overwhelmed by all the people who were sinful, taking bath in her waters. She was afraid she'd get affected by that bad association or by their sinful reactions. So, Bhagirath, King Bhagirath, he arranged with Lord Shiva that Lord Shiva would, well, that was one thing. And the other thing was that she would come down with such force that she would break through she was afraid she'd go through the Bhumandala and then she'd end up down in the lower regions. She didn't want that. So it was arranged that Lord Shiva would take the force of her fall on his head. So it says here, Lord Shiva's, even Lord Shiva considers himself purified by taking the water of Ganga on his head, and he also has a symbolic Ganga on his head.
So, Prabhupada mentions that there's many pastimes with these rivers. Maharaj was mentioning there's also the Triveni where these rivers meet in Prayag, and at that place there's the famous Kumbh Mela. It's a gathering of yogis and mystics, and Prabhupada also was initiated there. And these rivers are, they're sacred rivers that are part of many different traditions, like the Jordan River. But these river, Ganges and Yamuna, are very dear to the devotees because we understand that we have information, we have histories that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as his devotees and his different incarnations, have associated with these rivers at different times during history. And we can see Prabhupada is actually mentioning that these rivers are a person. So it's, we understand that there's actually a person, Mother Ganges, the river Yamuna Devi is actually a person, just like everything in the Vedic paradigm is personified. So, when Lord Krishna came to the planet, he was actually accidentally dropped, or by his own sweet will, he was dropped by his father Vasudeva during a storm, as Vasudeva was trying to carry baby Krishna to Gokula across the river from Mathura, where Vasudeva and Krishna and Devaki were imprisoned by Kamsa. So when baby Krishna was dropped into that water, then that river is considered to be sanctified at once by the lotus feet of the Lord.
On that note, when the child fell into the water, because Vasudeva was carrying on his head in a basket, because he didn't, the water was high, it was a storm. And also the river Yamuna was mighty river, big river, stronger than now. It was very big, so it was waves. And he was carrying, and he fell down, child Krishna fell into the water. So Vasudeva was practically mad trying to find him. And finally caught him, and Yamuna Devi herself said, "Thank you, I just wanted to play with him for a little while." She gave him back.
Dr. Fred.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. I have a question about where if the Ganga and the Yamuna flow into an ocean, because in some parts we hear that rivers, they don't really exist without an ocean. The river is comes from an ocean. Is that the same situation with this, or are these specific two rivers entirely different than my mundane idea of ocean and river? I'm sorry if this is a foolish question.
The Sagara, the ocean, there is an intimate relationship. There's many analogies that the rivers flow to the sea naturally, and in fact, even Queen Kunti says, "As rivers flow to the sea, so let my attraction be drawn unto you without any diversion." Beautiful song by Kunti. So yes, there is a place where they come together at the sea. It's called Gangasagara. And it's also historically important because when King Sagara was ruling, it's a long story, we won't go into the whole story, but he was trying to perform sacrifice to please the Lord. And Indra, as is his tendency, likes to steal the sacrificial horse. Anyone who was making too many sacrifices, Lakshmi made a sacrifice, he would steal the horse because he didn't want them to become equal with him or surpass him, competition. So he stole the horse, and King Sagar said, he told his sons, he had 60,000 sons, I think it is. 60,000, they find that horse. I don't care what you do, you find that horse. And they were so voracious to find that horse that they looked everywhere and they just dug everything. So they dug up all the way down, they dug all the way down to the Rasatala, just the one before Patala. And then they saw the horse. And Indra had left the horse right in the hermitage, right near the hermitage where Kapila Dev, Lord Kapila, was doing his meditation sacrifice, his bhajan. And the horse was there peacefully, and Kapila Dev was there, and the thousands of sons, they were also not very polite. They were very angry, and they said, "This is the man who stole the horse. Chop him up, cut him up." And as soon as they tried to do that, some say that Kapila, with his eyes, he burnt them. But Prabhupada prefers the explanation that because they tried to burn Lord, their own sinful desire engulfed them in flames and they burned. So anyway, all 60,000 sons were burnt to ashes. And King, he was sorry to hear that. And his sons all got burnt. So he was thinking, how can I possibly save them? And he was told that if Ganga, maybe it was Kapila, may have said someone, that if you bring down the Ganga, Ganges water, she touches their ashes, then they'll be delivered from that. So Sagara tried to do it, and with Ganga coming down, he made some. Ultimately, one of his descendants, Bhagirath, was the king who was successful doing it. But that place, Gangasagara, is still a very holy place, and people visit it. And there's a deity at that spot, 3 deities, one of Ganga, one of Sagra, and one of Kapila. So when I was given the task to do some study of the cosmology. That was one place we went very soon on in our journey to get the blessings of those 3 deities at that temple, Gangasagara. So it's a very holy place. Thank you.
Yeah, I like how Prabhupada at the end of the purport here, he's mentioning how there's some kind of like a transcendental hierarchy, that there's the Ganges and the Yamuna both are sanctified and holy rivers, but that still there is some distinction. When the water of the Ganges is sanctified 100 times, it is called the Yamuna. And then Prabhupada also mentions a similar instance where 1,000 names of Vishnu are equal to one name of Rama, and 3 names of Lord Rama are equal to one name of Krishna. That all these names are holy names and purifying, sanctifying names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but there's still, Krishna is still the chief, is still the, that chief name, or that supreme name. So similarly, the Yamuna is being glorified even above the river Ganges. It's interesting how it seems that we're paying heed to the commentaries of the acharyas, that we're taking the version of Srila Jiva Goswami, that Srila Jiva Goswami saying that that Maharaj Parikshit shifted himself to the bank of the sacred Yamuna. So, though it seems from the translation that Prabhupada has decided to translate as the Ganges, he's just always, paying due deference, or he's giving the respect, and he's kind of acknowledging that the previous acharyas have understood it in a different way. And that's always important for us, that we're following the footsteps of the previous acharyas, and that's important for us, because we can read the translations and to many different texts, even Bhagavad Gita, which is Prabhupada describes as the ABCs, and we can understand it in so many ways according to our current consciousness or our personal experience, things like that. But we're always benefited when we take the purport and we understand it in light of what the previous acharyas have described about it. If we just read the translation, then we wouldn't have understood this detail, which actually is very nice to understand. So we always try to kind of spur our conversations with what Prabhupada has given, what he was inspired to speak about in relation to the verses. We try to also speak with that as a jumping off point for us. Okay, so in this verse also, the Tulasi is mentioned specifically. And so we can understand too that Srimati Tulsi Devi is very dear to Krishna. She's glorified here in the Bhagavatam. And by her presence within this water, that water is sanctified. So how fortunate we are to daily worship Srimati Tulsi Devi and chant Hare Krishna with her and render some service to her on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas. So, thank you very much, devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.